Hello and welcome, streaming to you live from this beautiful city of Winnipeg in Manitoba. Actually, this is my first time here, but I'm loving it. Absolutely vast open green lands, perfectly squared farms, vibe in the city, which is quite peaceful, nice, not too hurried up. Love it here. Was here for the NCIC, National Conference of Citizenship and Immigration Conference under the umbrella of CAPIC, which is the member association of the immigration consultants. Lots of learning, lots of things that opened up my head to, or my mind to as well. But you are not here for all of that. You are here for today's weekly roundup and some updates as to what's happening in the field of Canadian immigration. That's what I'm here to do that for you. This is going to be a short one because, hey, I have a flight to catch. Got to get back home as well. So I'm going to quickly try and wrap up this presentation that I have for you, and then try and answer as many questions as I can in this very short time that I have. Let's get cracking. Right, starting with the quote of the week. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Confucius. I just keep saying that. Confucius, actually. Great quote. And it's so applicable in today's day and time as well, right? Sometimes we get so wrapped up thinking, should I do this? Should I not do this? What is this other person doing? Why is that person so ahead of me? Why is this person not doing what I'm doing? Sometimes we get so wrapped up in everything else around us that we just stop doing what we are doing. But that shouldn't matter to you. As long as you keep going, regardless of how slow or fast you are, regardless of what progress you're making, at that point of time, sometimes the progress is not even evident. You can't even see how far you've come. But let's say you're climbing up a hill, you're climbing up a mountain. As you might be going up slowly, but when you always look back, then you see how far you have come. And that's what matters. Do not stop. Keep going. Keep at it. And that's the only way to do it. This is the Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup. You can stay up to date with the Canadian immigration news, updates, trends, things that happen, things that don't happen in the field of Canadian immigration. And that's what you come here for. Topics of discussion today is the PNP and updates. Express entry, of course, there was a draw. You're going to talk about it. And then we have quite a bit of other news as well. Starting with the PNP draws on the 5th of June, Ontario has invited 417 express entry candidates under 2 draws for the French speakers, Francophones. Remember, there is a strong mandate to increase or improve on the Francophone immigration. This time it's about 14%, and that's a big number. And also at the provincial level, the provinces are quite encouraged, quite motivated to invite more Francophones, primarily outside of Quebec. And therefore, the provinces will keep adding more and more factor points and inviting more Francophones. And therefore, I mean, if you've been watching this channel, then you know how much I've been trying to promote or advocating that get onto the French language bandwagon. The sooner you do, the better it is. Here's another example. Ontario invited 417 candidates. The one draw that they conducted, scores went down to 312. 312. That was the lowest score. The range was 312 to 487. This time they invited health, education, and finance occupations. Quite a few people there, and quite a few NOC codes there. And then in the other targeted draw, which they also held consecutively, they invited people with the CRS score range between 348 only and 348 to 487. That was the CRS score range. Tech, trades, and other priority occupations. This time, they did include a lot of HR, finance, other categories as well in combination to both. So there you go, right? If you were already on the French factor points, then this would have been so advantageous to you. British Columbia on the 7th of June invited 112 candidates to apply for the PNP through the tech draw under the 4 different streams. The minimum score was only 90. Then they also invited 50 candidates in the healthcare, childcare, and other priority occupation, where the minimum score was only 60. The criteria with BCPNP is that you need a job offer, eligible job offer, valid job offer from an eligible employer. And then it was express entry. The express entry, 8th of June, IRCC held its 14th express entry all program draw. This was very exciting. Let's talk more about it in detail, right? Because we always love express entry. This was draw number 250. That's the series number of express entry draws ever since it started in the month of January 2015. This was for the 8th of June. Actually, the draw was supposed to happen on the 7th of June, gave a lot of anxious pangs to so many people, anxiety pangs or whatever you want to call it. And a lot of people were upset because we all expected a draw, which was not happening. Finally, thankfully, on the 8th of June, somebody woke up there and pressed the button. 14th draw of 2023. CRS score, as we were anticipating, hoping, predicting, 486. Not a very big drop. The last score was at 488, so only a 2-point drop. But that was because, and the reason why there was a drop, because there might have not been a drop. And the reason for the drop was because they decided to issue 4,800 invitations. This was the reason why we did have the drop. I mean, if they had stuck with 3,500 invitations, then we would not be looking at a drop. We probably would be looking at an increase. And why? I'll talk to you about that. Tiebreaker applied for the 19th of May 2023. And tiebreaker always applies only to the score that has been drawn. So for example, if your score is 487, 488, and all the way up, the tiebreaker doesn't apply to you. Tiebreaker only applies to you if your score is 486. And if you created your profile after the 19th of May 2023, then you wouldn't have been included in the express entry draw, this draw. The CRS score distribution pool breakdown, this is always very, very exciting, right? You can see how the number of people get added. You can see what is the mean difference. You can see how many profiles got added, how many people got invited, what could possibly still be the remaining number of people in the pool, what does a draw increase, and sort of gives you a bit of an understanding that if you're into the business of speculating, if you like predictions, if you like trying to sort of figure out what IRCC is all about, then giving a quick look at the pool is always very important. But what does the pool breakdown tell us? Let's look at this. This was the May 24th. That's 2 weeks back. That was how the pool breakdown look at. But let's look at it over here. Draw, the number increased in the 491 plus range of 2,956. And where did it come from? Here. 601 to 1,200, 768 profiles. 501 to 600, 1,092 profiles. 491 to 500, you had 1,096 profiles, bringing you a total of 2,956. That was the number of people that got added with score of 491 and above. And then you had 481 to 490, which now stands, or rather stood at, on the 8th of June as 4,925. But in the previous draw, it was 4,225. And if you remove the number of people who got invited, so you remove 448 people out of that, which was remaining, you would see that the total number of profiles that now remain as of the 8th of June with the score of 481 plus is 3,081. So roughly about 1,800 people got cleared out from the 481 plus range, but 3,081 still remain. That tells you that if IRCC was to conduct a draw today, let's say they conducted another draw today, and they invited 3,500 people, only 3,500, because that is the average range we can go with, even then the scores will not drop below 480. The reason for that is 3,081 people in the profile, and in the last 2 days, I'm sure absolutely 500 people got added for a fact. And therefore, your scores will not drop below 480, even if they were to conduct a draw today with a invitation round of 3,500. So what that tells you is that the next draw, now obviously we are in the business of, we love speculating, we love sort of talking about the following draws, the next draws, what will happen when, etc., etc. The next draw is anticipated on the 21st of June. Now, 21st of June is a very, very crucial day, and the reason why it's a critical and a crucial day is because Sean Fraser, in very, sorry, I wouldn't say Sean Fraser, but it has to come from Sean Fraser, right? I mean, IRCC has recently announced the categories. I'm sure most of you already by now know the categories by heart. About 82 or 83 NOC codes have been announced in 6 different categories, including French or Francophones, which is a separate category by itself. So other 5 categories, which is the STEM occupations, agriculture, transport, trades, all these categories have a total of about 82, 83, I think, NOC codes. Now, the draw, category-based draw, is expected in the month, or rather, in the months of summer, or whenever summer is anticipated to start. Now, the official date for the start of the summer is also 21st of November, which basically tells you there could be a possibility of the category-based draws starting right on the dot, 21st of June. Possibility. I do not know if it happens or not. We have to wait and watch with the 21st of June just around the corner, just 2 weeks from now, less than 2 weeks from now. So let's see how that goes. So this time, I mean, as it is, the draw day brings a lot of jitters, right? It's so nervy kind of a day. And now with this category-based draws, it's even more evident that we will be sort of looking at something happening there. Let's see how that goes. But how it is expected now that IRCC has made it very clear on their website as well as to how they would be conducting the draws. And this time, now there's absolutely no confusion. Everybody knows that IRCC has agreed, or rather has announced, that they will be conducting draws. So they can conduct draws which are the regular general draws, where what they do right now, same way. Then they can conduct the category-based draws, and then they can conduct the program-specific draws, PNP program, CEC program, FSW program. I doubt FSW program will make a comeback, but that was just a one-time freak thing which happened in February. But CEC draws are possible, though I don't see the likelihood of that happening. What I see or anticipate is CEC draw being overlapped with a category-based draw in a manner that they can say we are calling XYZ categories. This is the score, provided they are also CEC. So they can do an overlap of a program-based versus a category-based draw. That is what I definitely anticipate at some point of time. And the reason why I feel that is because of the minimum requirement that they have, or that they have put in for the category-based draws, where they said that you only need 6 months of work experience to be eligible within the last 3 years to be eligible for a category-based draw. So 6 months of work experience to be eligible has to be a primary NOC code, and that eligibility comes primarily only, I wouldn't say only if you're CEC, but it makes it easier for the CEC category. So that's where I'm coming from. But let's see how that goes. So this is your express entry draw as it happened. The number of invitations issued in 2023 at this point of time stands at 54,748. The average ITAs that I expect IRCC will issue, in my opinion, for 2023 is roughly 80,000. The candidates in express entry pool, actually that number is not correct. The number should be slightly more of what I remember, but approximately 226,000. That's what you will look at for the time being. The quotas for 2023 is 82,880 for FHS, Federal High Skilled, 35,000, give or take a few, for the PNP program, express entry linked PNPs. And then you have remaining draws in this year, approximately 10 to 12, and Bill C-19 implementation. They now expect summers. So let's see whether there's going to be another summer of 69 kind of an exciting thing. Let's get back to this. In other news, and of course we have other news, Canada introduced visa-free travel not to 13 countries, from 13 countries. So 13 countries are now can come to Canada, or citizens of these 13 countries can come to Canada. Where is the list of those 13 countries? Let's see. Yeah, I have the list. Philippines, Morocco, Panama, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina, Costa Rica, Uruguay, Seychelles, and Thailand. So these are the 13 countries. Citizens of these countries can now come to Canada visa-free. You still need to get an ETA, electronic travel authorization, which is usually approved in less than 24 to 48 hours. The fee is only $7. Please apply online through the official government website. Any other website which is posing to be a government website may not necessarily be a government website, and you never have to pay more than $7 to get the approval for your ETA. Now, the catch, because obviously just because you're a citizen of these countries does not mean you can pack your bag and walk into the shores of Canada. What you need to do is you need to apply for an ETA. And in order to be applying for an ETA, you need to be eligible. And to be eligible, you need to be eligible under these two categories. First is you should have held a Canadian visa, any kind of Canadian visa within the last 10 years, or you should currently hold a US non-immigrant visa. Non-immigrant visa basically means B1, B2, F1, F4, CPTs, I don't know, plenty of them, H1Bs, H1s, H4s, all of these categories that you might have, non-immigrant visa. And as long as you're holding a non-immigrant United States visa, which is current, which is valid in your passport, you would be able to apply for an ETA if you are a citizen of any of these 13 countries. Yay, come and celebrate or come and spend your summers in Canada. Summers in Canada can be quite nice. So this is pretty cool. I know there was a lot of discussion as to why other countries have not been included. Duh. I mean, come on, you know that, right? Why they cannot do that, or why they won't do that. It sucks to sort of see that other countries have not been included. Why, if you can include these countries, why not those? Why wouldn't you do that for those countries? I mean, what makes these better than those kind of a thing. That is always there. But then these are country to country agreements, country to country understanding of geopolitical situations and other agendas that countries may have. Sometimes we never get to know what exactly goes on behind closed doors. But yes, as of right now, these are the 13 countries that got added up. New selection categories for express entry candidates. I think we have discussed this in detail in the past, so you already know what's happening there. That's next one is spousal open work permit extension opt-in is now open. Now, for people who are wondering what this is all about, well, if you are a spouse who is currently holding an open work permit, under certain conditions, you will be eligible to apply, or rather will be eligible to opt in for a faster facilitated measure, which will give you a automatic extension of 18 months of work permit. This applies to spouses of permanent resident applicants. So basically, if you have applied for a spousal sponsorship, you are holding a work permit, then you may be eligible for this one. If you are a spouse of an international student in Canada and you hold a spouse open work permit, you may be eligible. If you are a spouse of a work permit holder in Canada, then you may be eligible. Let's look at the eligibility criteria. There you go. This is what you have. We will extend your open work permit for an additional 18 months if you meet all of these criteria. All. You currently hold a valid open work permit. It should not be an employer specific, means it cannot be a closed work permit. And it will expire by December 31st, 2023. So if your work permit is expiring by 31st of December 2023, starting from anytime now, you would be eligible. Your open work permit is under one of the following labor market impact assessment exemption categories. So basically, you don't need an LMIA. That's why you will have an open work permit. Clients awaiting decision on their permanent residence applications. So you are under exemption codes A70, 74, and 75. LMI exemption codes in most cases are mentioned on your work permit. If not, you can always find that out depending on under what category you received your work permit. Then spouses and dependents of certain work permit holders, LMI exemption codes C17, 41, 46, 47, 48, and 49. So basically, if you were a work permit holder and your spouse has received an open work permit holder, this also applies. C41 is very, very, so if you're a postgraduate work permit holder, your spouse has a work permit, then you will be C41, and that's, or in cases where you have a closed work permit and your spouse has an open work permit, also again then would come under C41 and you would be eligible there. Spouses or study permit holders would be exemption code C42. So if you're a study permit holder, your spouse has an open work permit, again you would be that your spouse would be under exemption code 42 and also will remain eligible under this provision. Your biometrics will remain valid for the 18-month extension. And then you have a Canadian mailing address, so you should be in Canada. You remain admissible to Canada, and your passport will be at least 18 months past the expiration of your current work permit's expiry date. So as long as your passport is valid for the next 18 months, you would then be able to opt in and get this work permit process done, which basically means that you don't have to pay any additional fee. A lot of people are wondering, my work permit is getting expired later. Should I do it now? Should I do it later? Well, you can do both. If you want to do it now, you can do it now. You want to do it later, you can do it later. You want to wait till 31st. Some of you, your work permits may be expiring on 31st of December. Do you want to get it done now or later? You can do it absolutely later. You can do it on 31st of December so that you then get the implied status first and then get from whenever they're trying to issue, or probably they will issue it from the day your work permit is expiring. 18 months from then, again, you get 18 months extension. So in all ways, you are winning it. But if you want to get the opt-in, so a lot of people have been getting this option, and the opt-in option is applicable until 28th of June only. So before 28th of June, you need to click opt-in. Most of you who would be eligible would have already received an email from IRCC saying that you are eligible for opt-in. And when you log into your GCKey account, you should be able to see a specific link which says you can apply for you can apply for the open work permit extension. If you have that link, you will be able to then click on that link, update your passport details, update your mailing address if you have to, and then click on opt-in. What that will do is, without you having to pay any additional fee, you will be able to get in the work permit. That's what it will do. How do you do it? Let's see if I can show this to you. It's always good to do that so that you have a better understanding of what can be done. There you go. I'm sharing my screen. I hope you can see it. Right. So this is the link You don't have to worry about the link. The link, I always put it in the description box so you can see it. How to opt in for an automatic extension of foreign work permit. You may qualify. You have to read through all this so you are able to understand. You must opt in through your CAC account between 7th of June and June 28th. We will mail you your new work permit by July 31st. If you do not receive by July 31st, then you have to apply through the regular extension. Now, the best thing is that there is no fees for this work permit. So when you're applying for this process, there is no fee. You just click on opt-in, you get a new work permit, you have 18 months of extension, and voila, you can continue working, no problem there. If your extension isn't approved, you will be notified by email by July 31st. If you receive this email, you must, and if you receive the email which says that you are not eligible, your extension is not approved, then you have to apply to extend your work permit, okay? And in order to apply for your extension of your work permit, then you have to be eligible to do that. What you need to do, you need to check your email, keep an eye on your junk folder. You might have got an email from in your junk folder as well. Review these conditions to opt in. To opt in, you have to, all of these have to be applicable. You are living in Canada, the mailing address of the letter is correct, that you have an open work permit that expires between August 1 and December 31st. You have a passport valid for 18 months past the expiration of your current work permit. You have valid biometrics. You can check them. The link is here. Please ensure that your passport information is up to date and the expiration. Log into your IRCC account, scroll down to start an application, okay, and then select opt-in to stay and work in Canada for additional 18 months from your date your work permit expires. Make sure your passport information is updated. If you opt in more than once, there could be errors and you could lose your application. So do it only once. Do not get into don't get antsy and try and do it again and again just because you're not getting a response. They are not perfect. The portals are not good. But once you've done it once, then just leave it. Just take time. Wait till end of July 2023. Hopefully, you will get your work permit by then. If you don't get your work permit by July 31st, 2023, contact us using the web form. Complete all the required fields and include open work permit in the text box so that the system can identify your web form to sort of say what you're trying to ask for. How to apply for a work permit if you don't opt in? Well, if you don't opt in before your work permit expires or you're not eligible to opt in, you must apply using the regular process. If you want to extend your work permit, how to do that? You can just click on this and apply for it. It's not very difficult. It's not very complicated. Just follow these. These are very simple. You just click on this. You will be able to get to how you can do that. All this information is very, very simple. You will have to pay your complete fee. You're not exempted from any additional fees. You'll have to pay all your fee, your work permit fee and your open work permit application fee as well. And you will be good to go with that. This is primarily how you will do it. This is always good to know. Back to our presentation. So now you have it. You can obviously apply. You can opt in if you wish to. You can extend it if you want to later on. The only additional, so a lot of people asking, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I wait to whatever? Well, you're getting a free extension. Take it. Okay. Now that you have a free extension, you get it. One thing I was on a consultation this morning and I was telling the same thing to this person who was asking, should I do it? Should I not do it? Is that take what you're getting right now, because tomorrow anything can happen. Things can change. Laws could change. Requirements can change. Conditions can change. You know what's happening in Canadian immigration. Everything, there's something totally different, right? Every day you wake up to a different news, different article, different update, different change, different policy. The government can change. The new government can make a totally different process altogether. So while you have a chance, take it. And at the time, this new extension will then expire. And at that point of time, depending on what your spouse is up to, whether she or he is studying, working, and what the criteria is, then apply for another extension at that point of time. But for the time being, opt in. Take this extension. It's free, right? You're not paying anything for it. Just go along with that. Okay. Okay, what else do we have now? If you want to check the status of your PR application, a lot of people are still trying to figure out way to do that, how to do that. I have got some QR codes for you. It's also on my Twitter account, so you should follow us on Twitter because we post them there first. I also posted this morning on our Facebook account. Scan the QR code. You will be able to create your IRCC secure account. You will be able to link your application. You will then be able to log in and check your status. Now, obviously, a lot of this information is not real time. A lot of this information is not as updated as you would like it to be. A lot of this information does not give you a comprehensive, complete information. But for some people who really, really get very anxious, very, very agitated as to what the hell is going on in my application, sometimes this information or little information or some information helps to understand where your application is at this point of time. So yeah, by all means, scan away and take a screenshot of this if you want to, and then scan away and then see what your application is up to. Hopefully, with the current processing times the way they are running quite fast, and the way they are running, I would see that a lot of you will be getting your decisions happening sooner. Spousal sponsorship applications are getting processed in, we got one processed very recently in between 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4 months, that's all it took for a spousal sponsorship, which is average processing time, general processing time of 1 year. Inside Canada was 3 to 4 months. We have an outland spousal sponsorship, which was also approved between, I think, 5 to 6, or we've got one which was 5 months, and then we've got another one which was 6 to 7 months. The processing is happening quite fast. As far as express entry is concerned, 2 to 4 months has become the new regular average. A lot of applications are getting processed between 2 to 4 months. Now, that's not to say that every single application will get processed in 2 to 4 months. The standard processing time is still 6 months. It's just that they have 65% additional staff who can now process these applications really, really fast. So candidates who are in express entry, the applicants in express entry are really, really enjoying the fast time. But that does not mean you get totally worked up, totally anxious, totally nervous, totally panicky if your application is not seeing the 4-month processing or the 3-month processing. Have a bit of patience, relax. Wait it out. It is not a problem. Sometimes certain applications may take a bit longer for different reasons, variety of reasons. You can always call IRCC. You can always ask them what your status is. You can also apply GCMS notes, apply for them, and then see where your application may possibly be stuck at. But in most cases, it should come through. Now, another update is SDS stream. Now, SDS is student direct stream for the international students who are looking to come to Canada. This is applicable for 14 countries. It offers faster processing and a better rate of approvals in comparison to the non-SDS stream. You need to be able to have paid at least 1 year of tuition fees or the whole program fees upfront. You should get a $10,000 GIC, guaranteed investment certificate, from the eligible banks in Canada, or sometimes even outside Canada. And you should have your language scores. Now, earlier it was CLB 7 for all language exams. Actually, there were not too many. Okay, but now they have added additional language exams, and they have reduced the conditions and requirements for certain language exams. So, for example, if you appear for IELTS Academic, CALE, or PTE Academic, you only need to score band 6. So IELTS band 6. So band 6 basically means you may not necessarily have 6 in all of them. Your total overall band is 6. One of them might be 5.5. That will also be accepted for SDS stream, which was earlier not acceptable. CALE should be 60 score, and PTE Academic should also be 60. But if you are appearing for IELTS General, which a lot of people do because they use the same IELTS General for their student as well as express entry profile. Hey, don't tell anybody, right? But yes, you can still use your IELTS General, but the score in that will have to be 6 each, or CLB 7. You can now also take CELPIP General and use that for your SDS stream. Earlier, that wasn't happening. You can now also take TEF and TCF, of course, and that should also be CLB 7. And you can also add TOEFL. It says TOEFL here. It should be TOEFL IBT with a minimum score of 83. Yeah, so this is the update. The good thing is that if you're doing IELTS Academic, band 6 would be acceptable. As far as the criteria is concerned, not necessarily good if you're trying to convince the visa officer that you are qualified to study, and you will be able to take the, you'll be able to complete your exams and your studies in a comprehensive manner. But yeah, the criteria has been reduced, specifically for the academic streams of the language exams. That's basically all I have for this stream. Connect with us on social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, YouTube. And if you're still here, then hit on that like button. Subscribe to the channel, like, share, subscribe, as they say, so that we can get this beautiful community much bigger and get this word out. Now, I have exactly 12 minutes before I have to scoot off because I have a flight to catch, of course. And I'm going to go through some questions very, very quickly. Obviously, let's look at the super chats first because, that's because they get highlighted much higher on my stream. Okay, answered to this for CEC submission. I don't know what that means. Have you listed all of X periods of military service or government applicable, and all the organization that X belongs to, if any, is not applicable? So I'm not sure what you're asking me, but if you have any periods of work with any military organizations or with any government organizations, and you have listed those, then you should say yes. If you will say no, then it basically will not allow you to move forward. So the two options, if you wish to move forward in your personal activities in your Express Entry application, is either choose not applicable, which is if you do not have anything to do with any government organization, if you have nothing to do with any military organization, you've never worked, no association, nothing at all, then choose not applicable. If you have something to do with any of these organizations and you have listed it, then choose yes. And in some cases, some people confuse it, but that is equally fine. Even if you should have said not applicable, but you have said yes, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. Don't freak out. Don't lose your sleep over it. It's still fine. Okay. So that's I hope that's what you were asking me. Rohan Thomas says, can you tell me the pros and cons of opening a Canadian account and wiring money to it while in India? From 1st of July, the Indian government is slapping 20% of tax on outward remittances. So doing this to avoid the tax. Well, to open a Canadian account, first of all, actually, you should be a permanent resident. You should already be able to open an account. In most cases, the cons would be that you will not be able to access the funds unless you have come to Canada, validated your account, and signed the documents, etc. And then they will activate the account. But they can hold the money for you. You can open, I think Scotiabank allows you to open. I think that's the only one that I know of. I do not know if other banks have allowed that or not. But I think Scotiabank does allow you to open an account. But if you can do that, then yes, you can remit the money before the 1st of July and save yourself the 20% remittance tax. But apart from that, the con that I can think of is that you will not be able to access the money until you get to Canada. So that will be the only criteria or condition there. But apart from that, you can definitely do it if you wish to. I'm sure it will help you a lot of money there. Samita says, got NOI for Ontario. I was awarded points by IRCC for completion of 2 years of experience before time. Submitting application on the 44th day. I will be short of 10 days in the completion of my 2nd year of experience. Can I apply? Ooh, actually a good question. You know what? I have never come across this situation with Ontario. And to date, the point is that Ontario usually is not calculating your points, because in a lot of cases what happens is that you, for example, if you are married and if you are claiming points for your spouse's education in your Express Entry, Ontario doesn't ask to see those documents. Ontario doesn't even ask to see the West report or your ECA report of your spouse, which tells you that they are not really looking to calculate your points. They also do not care if there's a birthday which comes after you received your ITA and the scores have changed. So in my opinion, I would, because you're applying on the 44th day, unless you have another option of waiting, I would take a chance. $1,500, I would take a chance. But I do not have a clear answer to offer to you because I don't know. It hasn't been specified. I haven't come across the situation. I haven't seen any legal text on the Ontario website which says whether you cannot do that, because I've also never seen any text or any legality on the Ontario's website which says about calculation of points. They primarily say if you are eligible in Express Entry and you have the CRS score and we have sent you the invitation, and if you are eligible under our criteria, which is that you have a bachelor's degree or an ECA for it, that you have at least 1 year of work experience within the last 5 years in the primary NOC code that you have applied for, then you're pretty much cool, right? So, and of course, you have to give your West report authorization to get it done through them, and you have your required proof of funds, then you're pretty much okay. If I was in your place, I will still spend that $1,500 and take a chance, because there's a high possibility I will get through. But I'm being very honest with you. I haven't seen this as a situation that I've come across, and I haven't seen any legal text anywhere to support that this may not be accepted. So I would say it's your choice, and the discretion is with Ontario. Okay. Arnab says, how does a 52-year-old with 25 years of experience in social work and non-profit sector with a master's degree work in Canada for a few years, doesn't have to be for a PR? Will the NOC draws help? Well, the NOC draws will help if you want to be a PR. And if you doesn't have to be a PR, then the only way to come and work in Canada would be if your job is LMIA exempt. So you will need to first find out if you will be LMIA exempt in the kind of work that you wish to do. Also, it all depends what your nationality is. Certain nationalities may be able to come and apply for a work permit at the port of entry. Again, if they have a job offer. In all cases, you need to have a job offer from an employer in Canada, number one. If your job is LMIA exempt, then you may be able to apply for a job offer, for a work permit without an LMIA. If not, then you will need to find an employer who can give you a job offer as well as an LMIA, which will then allow you to apply for the work permit. Now, since you said it doesn't have to be for PR, so then that takes away the PR question out of the window. In addition to that, if you're a 52-year-old, 25 years of experience and a master's degree, then in most cases, you would need either a provincial nominee programs to help you to support for your application for PR, number one. Number two, you would have to, it's either that or probably if you want to get through with the express entry, then you will need a job offer and an LMIA with a 00 NOC code application. So 00 NOC code would give you 200 points. And I'm hoping with a master's degree, 25 years of experience, and I'm sure you can do pretty well in IELTS, and you would be able to get a score of 300 plus. With a 300 plus and a 200, you would then be able to hopefully be over a 500 mark, and then express entry regular draws should take you through. So that probably is going to be the way to go about this. Right. Some of the earlier questions, let's take a look at those. How many times IRCC decision after biometrics? Please follow the standard processing times of IRCC. It's on their website. The average processing times are 6 months as per them. Answer to this, we've already answered. Could an international student that has spouse inside Canada as accompanying due to study permit apply for PR without accompanying, then the spouse apply for family sponsorship inside Canada? Yes, absolutely. I have done so many of these applications. Well, a lot of people are confusing and saying, my spouse is inside Canada with me on an open work permit. Can I still submit a express entry application by showing my spouse is not accompanying? Yes, you can. You still have to give a reason. You still have to give an explanation. But technicality allows, IRCC has that option. It says, is your spouse accompanying you? Yes, no. So it is giving you the option. It is possible. It happens so many times. There are so many reasons. As I said, we have handled so many of such applications successfully, no problem at all. But you do have to provide a basic explanation as to why, but absolutely possible to do it. And there is no problem. Your spouse can continue being in Canada, can continue working. Also no problem. There is no issue whatsoever. Can I upload an LOE stating that I do not wish to claim points from another position mentioned in EE application as it has limited duties, does not affect my score eligibility? You don't have to upload an LOE. Simply remove it from your work history and put it in the personal history. You don't need any documentation for any work periods that you have shown in your personal history, and you don't need any explanation. You're good to go. I would like to ask whether for primary NOC code is 3 years and more experience in the same NOC code necessary. Well, the requirement for the category-based draws is that you should have at least 6 months of work experience in that NOC code within the last 3 years, and that should be a primary NOC code. You will be able to do that if you have only 6 months of work experience, only if you're CEC. But if you're a federal skilled worker, it will have to be at least 1 year. Otherwise, you will not be able to create your express entry profile. What happens who are expiring on the January 5th, 2024? Do you think we get an extension? Well, at this point of time, no, you don't get any extension. There is no provision, no policy that allows for extension for work permits expiring in 2024. At that point of time, if there is a change, if there is a new policy, if there is something else that comes in, we don't know at this point of time. But right now, there is no provision for extensions for applications expiring in work permits expiring in 2024. I'm FSW candidate, score is 478. I don't know. You have to check the individual PNP websites. Will the CRS plummet in a category-based draw? Both mine and my wife's NOC is in demand. 82 announced in NOC categories. Due to our IELTS score, our CRS is less than 400. The word plummet probably will not, I will not favor the word plummet here. I expect the CRS scores within the categories to be lower, but not plummet. And the reason for that is because, first of all, there are 82 or 83 NOC codes. So it's a lot of NOC codes. And in my opinion, there could be quite a few candidates in the Express Entry profile, in the pool as well. Plus, one category is for French speakers by itself with no occupation specified. Plus, they would also have provincial nominee program applicants. Plus, they would also want to do the general draw. So there has to be a lot of mix and match. They may choose to do a variable draw. For example, they might choose to do a general draw this time, and after 2 weeks, just do a category-based draw. Then after 2 weeks, just do another general draw, kind of a thing. They can do that. Or they can do a simultaneous draw. So in this, for example, today is the 21st of June, and they decide to do a draw. So they will do, they want to issue 5,000 ITAs, right? Just for discussion's sake. They issue 5,000 ITAs. Out of 5,000 ITAs, they give 2,000 ITAs to the general draw and PNP. And then they give 3,000 ITAs to the category-based draws. Now, the 3,000 ITAs spread between 82 to 83 NOC codes. How many people in the pool for that NOC codes will define how low the scores can go. So plummet, I would not say, but lower CRS scores, because if it's only within those categories, right, then definitely the scores are going to be lower, because the number of people in those 82 or 83 NOC codes are not going to be as many as there are in the Express Entry pool. Plus, the number of people who get added into the pool with those NOC codes will also not be that many comparatively. And therefore, the scores will continue to drop. But plummet is something which we have to wait and see, because even with the category-based draws, we do not know whether they will conduct draws for all categories at the same time, or would they choose that this week we will do STEM categories, next week we will do trade categories, the following week we'll do only French speakers, the following time they will do it only, I don't know. So at this point of time, it's all speculative, and I know we are all anxious to see how that unfolds, but I guess we'll have to wait and watch how that goes, right? Okay, you know what? I mean, I would love to continue because I love doing this, but I got to run because it's already past the time that I should be leaving by now. Thank you so much for joining in. If you're from Winnipeg, I love the city, love what you guys have done here, and this is great. And hopefully coming back soon. But next year's NCIC, National Conference of Immigration Consultants, is in Halifax. So May next year, definitely going to be in Halifax, and looking forward to that. And for the time being, it's hasta la vista. Take care, and I shall see you soon.